Yeah, buddy. And speaking of birthdays, we're Washington Football Weekly, ladies and gentlemen, and but before that, we're the Washington Redskins, and one
Mhm.
of the names that you think about when you think about the Redskins is the Hogs, and the
Yes.
anchor of the Hogs, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know, let me tell you his name. His name was Mr. Joe Jacoby, number 66, 6'7", just a big guy.
Big
Let me
dude.
let me show you what he's.
Redskins are moving once again. Keith Griffin, right side. Big open. Good running by Griffin. He bobbles the football, and this is what they've been concerned about. And bounces into the end zone. Joe Jacoby.
The real matchups today will be Tim Harris, number 97, going against number 66 there, Joe Jacoby. Harris is a big play man for the Packers, and the Skins treat him and want to treat him today very much the same way that they treat Lawrence Taylor or
Screen to Charlie Brown. Gets a block. He's to the 50. He's to the Miami 43.
Good blocking on that left side. You see Donnie Warren, 85. He makes the block. That was a key block.
How about Jacoby?
Jacoby, he always makes a key block.
Yeah, those are nice to watch.
Love it, love it. And nothing like the late, great John Madden saying, oh, Jacoby, he always makes the key block. I love that. And look, this guy was a mammoth. This guy was the anchor of our line, as I said before, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Let's go through the accolades really quick. From 1981 to 1983, 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, 48 starts out of 170. Look, this guy, we are definitely sentimental towards him. We love him, because we know what he was. He was an anchor of that line, but he's not in Hall of Fame, and I don't know when he's gonna get in. But should he be in the Hall of Fame, Will?
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is the big argument every year in DC is around the Super Bowl when they do the votes for the Hall of Fame, and he continues to not get in, and other linemen who have came in after, have retired, and everything are getting him in front of him, to the point where he may now be down to just the senior member vote, not even in with the current member vote, because he keeps getting passed on. You had some great stats that kind of help his cause. We're talking about a 4-time Pro Bowler. We're talking about, in my opinion, the bigger stat is a 3-time All-Pro, to be named the very best in your position for that season. That's a bigger type of accolade. But I think where his value, though, even more so, was in roles that you can't define. One was, or put a stat behind is toughness.
Yep.
All right. And versatility.
Yeah.
Joe Jacoby, at some point in his 12-year career, started at every single position along the offensive line. Does anybody do that today?
No.
No. Wes Schweitzer is about the closest thing we got, but he stays within the interior, but he would move to what the team needed. He was at one point the starting left tackle, which is, that is your best offensive lineman. That's your leader. And he said when they traded Jay Schrader for Jim Lachey, he said, I'll slide inside because the team needs it. Yep. I'll learn how to play guard. I'll learn how to play center because the team needs it. So that was the kind of play here he was. And when it talks about toughness, I just remember every single year, I saw, so he played he had 148 starts, 170 games. There were so many times I remember him getting banged up, nicked up, broken stuff. He would come back. He never made a full 16 games with all of his limbs intact.
Yeah.
Ever. They were always taped up at some point. He always had something going on, but he came back
casts
in.
Or whatever.
He's got those clubs that he would have to learn to play with, but he would always come back in. Yep. So I think it's one of those things where, when if you just look at it from a stat standpoint, there are players that are getting in before him that have more accolades, more Pro Bowls, more All Pros. But he was also in an era when we didn't keep as many stats. Like, they didn't talk about pancakes. We saw those clips of him throwing people down, that wasn't a stat there to compare with today's players. Yeah. So it's kind of one of those things where the argument in the DC area is Joe Jacoby paved the way for Jonathan Ogden, for Kevin Mawai, for Steve Hutchinson to come in, for the Allen Fanekas. They have better stats, but so the next candidate that comes in may have more all pros, but should you not let the guy who paved the way get in first?
Right. Absolutely. And when I think of Joe Jacoby, I think of the Jackie Slaters or the Dan Deerdorfs, the old John Hanna's, even the older guys. Now some of these guys obviously were revered a little bit more, and like you said, Jacoby, with the injuries and whatnot, maybe that's playing a factor. But honestly, just because I'm a homer, I mean, I just think when you think about the Hogs, he was one of those consistent forces that was always on there. And he was one of those guys, like you said, very flexible, can move to any position that was needed. And he's that guy, man. 3-time Super Bowl champ. Happy birthday to you, first and foremost. But I don't know, man. If not now, if not in the next, obviously not this year, if not the next year or so, you talked about him being in the senior recognition of the Hall of Fame. Like, how long do you think it would take? Like,
if ever. That's the concern, is if ever, because so they've created this category to allow for more players kind of in the situation like Jacoby, because you've got writers today, you've got fans today, where now if they're looking at, okay, I've got to let somebody in, and I could let in T.O., who I know, so I saw him play, I saw the players he made, he dominated, or this guy named Jacoby, who are they going to vote for?
Right.
So they've created this kind of senior class to let more of these folks get in around, with some writers who were around during that time, who remember these guys, which is kind of important. So you got to hope that that will happen. But he's already been passed over for the last year or two with this senior class. So it really is. It's a wonder. Could it potentially be this is their anti-Snyder campaign? We're not going to let Snyder's boy get in right now, because Snyder will be celebrating and he'll be there and, that type of stuff. Could that have anything to do with it? There have been reports that a few years ago, when Bruce Allen and Dan Snyder would be at the Hall of Fame, especially Bruce Allen, he would campaign for Jacoby. And Bruce had that sly used car salesman talk to him that would tick off other owners and tick off sports writers, and word would trickle out. Bruce Allen's campaigning for Jacoby again. Say no.
Yep.
And he didn't get in. And so it's almost like, is he getting hurt because of Dan Snyder, because of Bruce Allen, because of basically who he is associated with?
Well, right. And I mean, also makes you think of Brian Mitchell. You know what I mean? Yeah. And how great he is and how he continues to get overlooked. And that's something that definitely crossed my mind. It's just that people just do not want to be associated with that or give any opportunity for him to be, you put up on a pedestal or raised up like your organization did this. Because that was honestly before him. You know what I mean?
Yes, so, exactly. Well, it's like if you think about it for the Hall of Fame or pro football historians will say, who is the greatest offensive line in the history of the game? Most likely they're going to say the Hawks. Yeah. Well, Russ Grimm has gotten in, and they call him Boss Hog, and he was the best of them all. Yep. Number 2 was Jacoby.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're going to call him the best, are you saying only one guy on there was Hall of Fame worthy, and the rest were just good players? It's kind of a hard argument.
Yeah, it definitely is. So look, we definitely think you should be in it on your birthday, man. Hey, time has come, guys. Time has come. Mm-hmm. Stop punishing us for our owner. All right? Let these guys that were the foundation of a dynasty in the 80s and early 90s, let them get their just deserves. Hopefully he can get in soon, but I don't know. I do not know.
Thanks for watching. If you like that clip, be sure to check out the other great content from the Let's Talk Football community. And as always, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when more great content like this becomes available.